Good day, grade 11s. Welcome to our first video for your final exam revision for mathematics. We are doing here the first question where we need to solve for x. So in this case, we've got the first question. We say solve for x when 1.1, 2 into x minus 4 equals 0. Grade 11s, please do me a favor. Do not multiply the 2x into the brackets, please, because this is already been done for you. Remember, this is called the zero product property. The zero product property tells us that if you've got a multiplied by b, I believe you know this property very well. You've got a multiplied by b, then it's either a equals 0 or your b equals 0. This is your zero product property. Now we know that the product of vectors is 0 if and only if one or more vectors is 0. So in this case, we've got vectors 2x and x minus 4. So you're going to go on and say your first vector, which is 2x, is equal to 0, then 2x equals 0, or your second vector, which is x minus 4, equals 0. Then we are solving for x, remember, so we need to isolate x by removing the 2 which is multiplied. Then we do the inverse of multiplication, which is division. So we're going to divide by 2 on both sides. As you know the drill, whatever you do on the left hand side, you always do it on your right hand side. So 0 over 2, it gives you 0. That is our first solution. Then we go to the next one where we've got x minus 4 equals 0. Then you do the inverse of subtraction, which is addition. You add 4 on both sides, and when you add 4 on the left hand side, you're left with x. Then you add 4 on the right hand side. 0 plus 4 equals 4. Or you can simply say you transpose 4. That is negative. Then when it reaches the other side, it becomes positive. And that's how you do the first one. Now on the next one, you have got x plus 3 into 2x minus 5 equals 0. Again here, this is the zero product property because we've got two products here. The first one in the first bracket and the next one in the next bracket. So this already been factorized for you basically. So these are your vectors. So you're going to go on and say x plus 3 equals 0, or 2x minus 5 equals 0. So in this case, you also do the inverse of addition, which is subtraction. You subtract 3 on both sides, or you can just say you transpose 3. Therefore, your x is going to be equals to negative 3. That is the first solution here. Then you go to the next one. You've got 2x minus 5. Then you do the inverse of subtraction, which is addition. You add 5 on both sides, or you can just say you transpose 5. Then you're going to have your 2x equals 5. Then because you're solving for x, you need to remove 2 by dividing, since it is multiplied. Then you're going to have, look what I'm doing now. So you divide both sides by 2, then your x is going to be equals to 5 over 2. So since 2 is not completely divisible into 5, then you can leave it as 5 over 2. And that's how you simply do that. Moving on to 1.3. We've got x squared minus 6x plus 8 equals 0. Now in this case, you've got a trinomial. So for us to factorize or to simplify and solve the what we call this, the trinomial, then we need to have two brackets. And then look at this. The first sign of our trinomial is negative, so put it there in the first bracket. Then get the factors of the first term, which is x squared. And you know that x squared is x times x, so the factors are x and x, right? Then ask yourself, which sign should I put on your next bracket? Look at the next sign. The next sign is positive. So how do you get a positive sign? By multiplying a negative and a negative. So it means the next bracket should be negative, so that the two signs multiply together, they should give you this positive sign. Then you look at the constant term, which is 8 in this case. Please list the factors. 8 and 1, first pair. 4 and 2, the second pair. So these are the pairs that you have here. Now from this pair of factors, you go on and look at what is my middle term. Your middle term is negative 6. So you look at these vectors. This, how do we get this middle term? Either by adding or subtracting the vectors. So which vector should I add or subtract so that I can get a negative 6? Now look at 8 and 1. Is it even close to giving you negative 6? No, it is not. Let us look at 4 and 2. You see that when you add 4 and 2, you get 6. But we are focusing on 1. We need to get a negative 6. So it means you can have one, a negative 4 and a negative 2. And this is going to give you a negative 6. So it means you just go on and put your vectors there. That is going to be 4 and 2. Then your answers are going to be x equals 4. You know the drill here. I believe you know that. By this time of the year, you should be knowing how to solve this. So your next one is going to be x equals to 2. And that's how you get your solutions. That's how easy you do that. Now moving on to the next one. It is also a trinomial, but in this case our trinomial is not given in a standard form, so we need to rewrite this trinomial in a standard form. And how do you do that? You take all the terms to one side and you're left with 0 on your right hand side. Normally if you've got a square, that is how you're going to solve for x. Make sure that everything is on your left hand side, or let me say on one side of the equal sign. Now if it is in a standard form, we can go on and factorize our trinomial as we know how to do it. Now the first thing, here you can get the factors of the first term, which is x squared, and x squared you can get it by multiplying x and x, and so that is going to be the first the factors. Now you look at the sign of the first sign in your trinomial is positive, so you put a positive there, and the next sign is negative. And how do you get that next sign? It's by multiplying two signs. So for you to get a negative sign, you must multiply two signs which are alternate, that is a positive and a negative. So it means that next bracket must have a negative sign. Then the factors of 12, which is our constant, it's 12 and 1. I know you can use your silver calculator to get the factors, or any calculator. In the case your calculator can do that for you. The next one is what? 6 and 2. Then we've got 4 and 3. It helps to always list these factors. Now, our interest is the middle term. Our middle term is positive x. Remember that is 1x. So the coefficient of the middle term is 1. So the factors that we have here, when we add them, they must give us 1. When we add or subtract them, they must give us 1. So 12 and 1, not even close. 6 and 2, a bit closer, not that close. 4 and 3, yes, because 4 subtract 3, you get a positive 1. And that is what we have here, positive 1x, right? So it means you're going to have what? A positive 4, then subtract 3. And there you are. If 4 is positive, then you put it where you put the positive sign, and the 3 is going to be where there is a negative sign. Beside that, our middle term is a positive term, so it means the bigger factor between 3 and 4 must be positive. So you can go on and say your x is equals to, because the 4 is positive here, it becomes a negative 4, or your x will be equals to 3. And that's how you solve for x in your first questions. I hope you do understand that. Then the next question says solve for x, but in this case it has got some a bit of an extra information which says correct to 2 decimal places. So if you see such an instruction or extra information, what you need to do here, grade 11s, is to use the quadratic formula, which we know very well. It goes on like this: x equals minus b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. You are familiar with this formula, divided by 2a. Please do not forget the division by 2a. Therefore your x equals, you substitute the values of a, b, and c. You've got your values here. This is your a value, your b value, and your c value there. So you're going to say your formula has got a negative sign, so you put a negative sign, and your b also has got a negative sign because your b is negative 5. So you also put the negative 5, they put it in brackets because you are substituting, plus minus the square root of negative 5 squared minus 4ac. So your a value is 3, your c value is negative 1. Please do not forget to divide by 2a. Our a is 3, so that is 2 times 3. Then from here you just go on and put everything in a calculator. First with the plus sign. Remember we've got plus minus, so you put everything in a calculator. First with the plus sign you get the answer, then you go on and edit and get your answer of for a negative sign. So when I go on and do it in my calculator, I've got minus, that is 5 squared plus minus the square root of 5 squared minus 4 times 3 times minus negative 1 divided by 2 times 3, which is 6. Then I got 1,85, which is the first one. Or then you edit this, you put a negative sign here, then it gives me going back minus, then that is negative 0,18. So that is how basically you do it. You don't have to do much here, so that's how you do that, exactly as it is. You just write it exactly as it is. Now the next question, question 1.2, it has got two questions here, A and B. So the first one here, you're still solving for x corrected to decimal places, but mind this grade 11, this is not in the standard form. So the first thing that you need to do is to rewrite this in the standard form. So that is going to be x squared plus 6x. Remember, everything should be on one side, then you're left with 0 there, so that you are able to get the values of a, b, and c. And then you use the very same formula, which I'm not going to rewrite it again because it's there on question 1.1. So I'm just going to sub in here the values of a, b, and c. Our b value is 6, so that is going to be, remember the formula is for a negative sign, so that is negative 6 plus minus the square root of b squared, which is also 6 squared, minus 4. Your a value is 5, and your c value is negative 7. Do not forget to divide by 2 times a, which is 2 times 5 in this case. So that's how you do that, and then you go on and punch in your calculator. I'm going to quickly do it in my calculator. And I get 0,73 with a plus sign, and go on and edit and put on your negative sign. Then you got the next answer, which is negative 1,93. So yeah, and that's how you do it. But this question continues. It says, hence otherwise calculate the value of d for which 5x squared plus 6x minus d equals 0 has equal roots. So in this case, remember we also do the nature of roots in grade 11. So here you're going to use the nature of roots. So for equal roots, basically here for equal roots, your discriminant is going to be equal to 0. So you go on and write your discriminant, which is this, and your discriminant, remember, is what? It's b squared minus 4ac. B squared minus 4ac is your discriminant, and this should be equals to 0 for equal roots. So you go on and substitute b squared minus 4ac equals 0 here. So the b value is 6 here, your a value is 5, and d is our c value. So you're going to go on and say your b squared, which is 6 squared minus 4, your a value is 5, and your c value is minus d, negative d, sorry, equals 0. So from here, 6 squared is 36. You can just multiply there. 4 multiplied by 5 multiplied by d. 4 times 5 is 20. but the negative signs are going to multiply to give you a positive sign. So that is going to be 20d equals 0. Then we move on to the next section here where we solve for d. Then you can just say your d is equals to in your calculator, that is going to be divide both sides by 20, but remember you have to take 36 on the other side. So it's going to be to give us what? Negative 9 over 5. So it gives us negative 9 over 5. That is what we get in a calculator. After transposing 36 to the other side, then divide by 20 on both sides. And that's what you get. And that's how you simply do that question. Now, grade 11s, when you're dealing with sets, you must make sure that you always isolate the set. Meaning that if you've got a term that is added or subtracted and it is not inside the square root sign, it must be taken to the other side of the equal sign, or it must be eliminated. That is, the aim is to isolate the set. So in this case, we've got your root of x minus 1 plus 3 equals x. It means that 3 that is added here, it must be eliminated. So we're going to rewrite this x subtract 1. Then we're going to have a plus 3. We need to isolate the set. It means we have to take out the 3. So we're going to subtract 3 on both sides because this 3 has been added. We remember we always do the inverse operations here. So we're going to have the square root of x subtract 1. 3 minus 3 is 0. Then that is equals to x minus 3. You can just say you transpose 3, you take it to the other side of the equal sign. Then it's going to change the sign. And that's how you do that. From this step, you need to square both sides. The aim is to remove the square root. So we introduce the square, we square here both sides. I know you know this very well. Now, the square root and the square, they are going to cancel each other because those are the inverses. Then on the left hand side, you're going to be left with x subtract 1. And on the right hand side, you need to FOIL this out. So we are going to have your x squared subtract 6x. I believe by now you should be knowing how to multiply two similar brackets, and that is exactly what I'm doing now. And that is what you're going to have. So from here, you must make sure that you take all the terms to the same side of the equal sign, and you must be left with 0 because that looks like a quadratic. It is a quadratic or a trinomial, which we must simplify by solving. So we're going to take all the terms to the one side of the equal sign. So we're going to have x squared minus 6x. Then the x, when it's taken to that side, it becomes negative x. Then plus 9. And the 1 comes this side, it also becomes a positive 1. So that is what we have now. So we can just work out the like terms. Negative 6x minus x, that is negative 7x. And 9 plus 1, that is going to give us 10 equals 0. Therefore, you need to factorize this. There are several ways that we use to factorize. I normally do this one. My learners are so used to this one. I say that for me to get 10 and I've got 7 here, I know that the factors of 10, 5, 2, 10, 1, and so forth. So I'm going to rewrite 7x with the factors of 10, which are 5 and 2. So I'm going to say 7 is going to 7x. I'm going to rewrite it as 5x subtract 2x, then plus 10 equals 0. You can use your way of factorizing, the one that was taught in your class, and that is going to be perfectly fine. So from here, what we're going to do is that I'm going to group these terms, the first two terms together, and I'm going to take out the common factor in here and in there. So what I'm going to do is that here the common factor, you can see there's two terms, x squared and minus 5x. So the common factor is going to be our x here. When you take x as the common factor, you come back and divide it here on x squared. Then you divide x squared by x, you are left with x, and minus sign. When you divide 5x by x, x and x cancels, then you are left with 5. Then you've got minus. The common factor between 2x and minus 10 is going to be 2. So you take 2 as the common factor. Then you are left with x. minus 5. When you divide 2, then that is equal to 0. So in this case, you must make sure that in brackets you've got two similar terms. You've got x minus 5 and x minus 5, which are two similar terms. Then it means from here, you're going to take the terms that are outside the bracket, you group them together. That is going to be x subtract 2. Then you can put that in brackets, and then you take one of the terms inside the brackets, and that is what you have. That is equal to 0. And from there, it means your x is going to be equals 2, or your x is going to be equals 5. So you can do it how you were taught in your school, but this is the method that I find very easy. But anyway, whichever that you prefer, you can do that. Now going to the next one. Again, in this case, we need to isolate the set. So we're going to rewrite this. Your square root of x minus 1. Then it means we have to take 3 that side. In this case, I'm not going to do it as I did on the left hand side. So in this case, I'm just going to say you're going to transpose. So it's x minus 4. When you transpose 3, it is positive on the left hand side. When it comes to the right hand side, it becomes negative 3. So simplify this. That is x minus 4 minus 3, that is negative 7. And then the rule is to remove the set, and in this case we introduce the square. So we square in both sides. Then the square root and the square are going to cancel here. So you're going to be left with x minus 1. And you FOIL this out. X times x, x squared. Then you're going to have minus 7x minus 7x, which is minus 14x. Then you square 7. You get 49. Then you group all the terms in one side of the equal sign. So we're going to have your x squared minus 14x. Then the x comes this side, becomes negative x. Then you've got 49. You transpose 1, which is negative, then it becomes positive. Then everything equals 0. From there, you work out the like terms. Negative 14 minus x, that is negative 15x. 49 plus 1, that is going to be 50, equals 0. So from here, I'm going to do it differently. We're just going to get the vectors here of the first term and the last term, focusing on the second term. Now in this case, the vectors of x squared are x and x. Now the vectors of 50, there are several vectors of 50. It's 5 times 10. This 25 times 2. But we should focus on our middle term here. Our middle term is 15. And the signs here, the sign of the middle term is negative, and the sign of the constant is positive. So it's basically, in this case, means that both signs are going to be negative, because when you subtract two signs, you get a negative sign, and that is what you're going to get for the middle term. And when you multiply two signs, you get a positive sign, and that is the sign that we're going to get for the last term. So the vectors of 50, which give us 15 here, I think it's going to be 5 and 10, and they're both negative. So it doesn't matter where do you put which way. So we're going to have here x minus 10 and x minus 5. So if you are not sure, you can always multiply this brackets out and make sure that you get the previous bracket. So that's how you do that. And from there, we know the rule, the product rule. We know that x minus 10 should be equals to 0, or your x minus 5 should also be equals 0. Therefore, your x equals 10, or your x equals 5. Now, I'm going to go back to the first one. In the first, because we are dealing with sets here, what happens is that sometimes you find out that not all solutions are valid. That sometimes you're going to have only one solution that is valid and the other one that is not valid. So how do you do that? You always check your solutions. You're going to take your solutions, the roots here, you're going to substitute them back into your original equation. So for the first one, we've got x equals 2 and x equals 5. So when you take 2 and substitute in your brackets here, you're going to have 2 minus 1 inside the bracket. That is going to be 1. The square root of 1 is 1 plus 3. That is going to be 4. And then on your right hand side, you've got 3. And that is not equals to 0. So it means then that the first one is not going to be valid. So x equals 2 is not the valid solution. Then you're going to say that is not equals 0. So you take 5 and substitute in there the first the original. You're going to have 5 minus 1, which is 4, and then that is the square root of 4 is 2, and 2 plus 3 is 5, and on the right hand side your x is going to be equal to 5. So it means then that this is the only solution that we have in this case. Then checking the second one. For the first one, you've got x equals 10. So when you take 10 and substitute in your equation here, you've got 10 minus 1, which is 9, and the square root of 9 is 3. So you're going to have 3 plus 3, which is going to be 6. And then on your right hand side, that is 10 minus 4, that is also going to be 6. So it means for this one, this is the valid solution here. So we can also check 5. If you take 5 and substitute in your square root, you're going to have 5 minus 1, which is going to be 4, and the square root of 4 is 2, and 2 plus 3, that is going to be 5. And on your right hand side, your 5 minus 4, you can see that the left hand side is not equal to the right hand side. So that is not going to be the solution. And that's how you check. And you must always do this to make sure that you get it all correctly. Now, question 1.3, grade 11's, that's where we use the K method. So your set from your set, the number that is at the time inside the square root here, you're going to let it to be equals K. Remember, you can use any other letter, but we are so used to the K method. So we're going to let it to be equals to K. That we're going to let your 2x plus 5 equals K. So it means we're going to substitute K for every 2x, root of 2x plus 5. So we're going to go on and say instead of root of 2x plus 5, we write K, then subtract 3 over K, then that is equals 2. So for us to be able to simplify this, we can see that we've got the fraction negative 3 over K. So we must make sure that everything is linear before we simplify this. So for us to be able to do that, we're going to multiply each term by k so that we eliminate the k that is in the denominator. So each term must be multiplied by k. So for the first one, k multiplied by k, that is going to be k squared. For the second one, when you multiply by k, the k's are going to cancel out, then you're going to be left with 3. And you also multiply the 2 with k, then you're going to get 2k. Learners tend to forget that they have to multiply each term by k. So please multiply each term by k. Therefore, from here, let us make sure that we write this. It's a nice trinomial. Then we write it in the standard form, starting with the squared term, then your k term, that is 2. When you take it that side, it becomes negative 2k. Then subtract 3, everything equals 0. So you can see that now in this trinomial, you'll have to factorize this. So your factors of k, that is k and k. Then factors of 3, that is 3 and 1. 3 is the prime number, so obviously that is going to be 3 and 1. Then the signs, remember the sign of 3 is negative. And how do we get this sign? By multiplying two signs. So it means you must have a positive and a negative sign. So where do you put a positive and where do you put the negative? It depends on the sign of the middle term. So our middle term is negative 2k, so the sign is negative. So if the sign is negative, it means the bigger factor between 3 and 1 must be negative. So you're going to have negative 3 and a positive 1. Therefore, as you know the rule, your k minus 3 equals 0, or k plus 1 equals 0. Therefore, when you transpose, k equals 3 or k equals negative 1. So remember, we are solving for x, we're not solving for k. So in this case, what we're going to do is that we're going to go back to our equation, because we did have the equation here which says that the root of 2x plus 5 equals k. So we're going to substitute the values of k here. So we're going to say, for the first one where k is equals to 3, we're going to say that root of 2x plus 5 equals, that is a 5 there, equals 3, that is the first root of k, that is equals 3. And you know the rule here, grade 11, sorry. For us to be able to solve for x, we need to remove the square root. And how do we do that? There's only one way for us to be able to do that, and that is to square both sides. So when you square on the left hand side, the squares and the square root are going to cancel. Then you're going to be left with 2x plus 5 equals 3 squared, that is 9. Therefore you subtract 5 on both sides. Then you're going to have 2x equals, when you subtract 5 on the right hand side, 9 minus 5, that is going to be 4. Then you remove the 2, which is multiplied by the inverse of multiplication, which is division. Therefore your x is going to be equals to 2 into 4 goes 2 times. So that is the first solution for x. Then the next solution for x, that is when k equals 1. So you're going to continue and say the square root of 2x plus 5 equals negative 1 this time. So the rule as you know it, we need to remove the square root by squaring both sides. Therefore the square root and the square cancel. You are left with 2x plus 5 equals negative 1 squared is 1. Therefore you subtract 5 on both sides. Then you're going to have 2x equals 1 minus 5, that is negative 4. You divide by 2 on both sides so that you isolate x. Therefore your x equals to negative 2. So those are your two values. Now, as the rule here, we can check if which answers are valid and which answer is not valid in this case. But that one I'm going to leave it to you. You know how to do that. You have to go back to your equation and check what is correct and what is not correct. So you can just let me just leave it to you, the grade 11s to do. You know what to do. You take the x values, you put it back into the equation. You can use the equations on the right hand side. Square root of 2x plus 5 equals 3, and the square root of 2x plus 5 equals 1. Please do that for me and check which answer is valid and which one is not valid.
Unlock your academic potential with expert tutoring from New Dynasty Academy. Are you looking to excel in your studies and achieve top grades? Whether you're struggling to grasp complex concepts or aiming to stay ahead of the curve, our expert tutoring services are here to help you succeed. We specialize in a wide range of subjects. Do not wait. Contact us today to start your towards success.